Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I want to chat with you guys a little bit about if the safety squat bar can fully replace a normal straight bar for squats. And I think in some cases, yes, although, again, I'm not someone to limit our modalities in that way. But as someone who has had some history of shoulder issues, who, the back squat itself can be a little hard on my shoulders. And again, just something I've experienced as I've gotten older. Once I got past 40, I personally have, run into certain shoulder issues, and they're not from bench pressing. The bench press is one of the things that doesn't hurt my shoulders. It's anything over my head, right? And that's gets exacerbated easily by other things. So overhead pressing, pull-ups, stuff that at one time I was actually quite strong at, has become a problem for me as I've gotten older. Whereas in bench pressing, for example, is perfectly fine on my shoulders. It's one of the things that doesn't bother it, but I also know how to bench press correctly. It kind of matters in that context, and that's a whole separate topic. So for me, the safety squat is kind of nice. The other thing that I will say with the safety squat bar, besides just the shoulder health issue, is for a lot of lifters, it can really address common weaknesses such as the thoracic spine, upper back, all of that, being a weak link for a lot of lifters. So when we look at it in that context, it really brings a lot to the table, both in terms of shoulder health, weak point training. Is it automatically better than a straight bar? No, I don't think it is. I think a straight bar brings a lot to the table itself as far as a squatting tool. And I think for a lot of people, they do need to back squat with the bar, at least some, And perfect example, everyone in this video, myself and two of the clients you're seeing doing the safety squat, we all compete in powerlifting. Okay, we all compete in powerlifting, yet everyone here does a lot of safety bar work. Okay, so even for powerlifters, it's not a bad tool. I like to use it a lot. And a big part of it, for example, both of those lifters you saw there, that would be Michelle and Doug, they do a lot of speed squats. Okay, well, if they're doing a lot of speed squats, then that's a lot of sets. It's a lot of setup time. Safety bar can help us not have to crank the shoulders up. It can help us get set up faster so they can just get in and get the benefits of the speed squat. Okay, so in that case, it works for a lot of them also. Now, in my case there, I'm just doing like 241 for, sets of 12 there. Should be stronger on those by the time this comes out. I just started doing these again when I made this video. So this is like first day I've done rep work on them is being kind of thrown into this video while I'm talking about it because I saw another post on it. I saw a strength coach, actually one with a PhD, was saying on my wall, and I'm not necessarily that familiar with him, but he was in my circle of coaches, and he was saying, look, I have people who exclusively do the SSB. And, I have had also. If you guys recall, a lot of times I had Saif on nothing but the SSB. I've had some lifters who have shoulder issues who are never going to compete in powerlifting or weightlifting, right? They're not going to compete in any barbell sport that requires the bar. Requires a power bar. They just want to get really strong and jacked. Well, and I would say if a person just wants to get strong and jacked, I don't have a problem with this barbell at all. I don't have a problem with them using it for almost everything. I really don't. The only downside, they're not going to learn how to get into position with a power bar if they need to test their squat. But here's the thing, how many people out there, if they use only the safety squat bar, their numbers will be just as good? A lot will be. I think you'd be surprised. Okay? Depending upon the squat style they're going to do. I have seen lifters out there, because normally people are like, oh, I'm usually at least 10% weaker on this bar. And that's the norm. But people who use it all the time as their primary modality, eventually it catches and passes what their back squat was as they continue to get bigger and stronger. Then when they go test the back squat, they're often the same. I've also seen some pretty elite lifters, at least one or two out there, who do train with both, but they've done so much safety bar work in there that their safety bar is just as good as their meat squat. And I'm not talking guys doing 500, because I think the most I've ever done on the safety bar on camera was like 530. Right? I think that's pretty much all I've ever done at my strongest on it. I'm talking about guys doing 700 plus. I've seen guys do 700 plus on the safety bar, like straight up raw. Okay. Well, are we going to argue they haven't built a hell of a strength base with it? I mean, there comes a point with it where you go, I mean, that person is just insanely, brutally strong. Okay. And I think it does carry over to deadlifting. You know, that's the other thing too. And I've seen some people say, oh, I don't agree with that. I've actually seen Wendler say he doesn't so much agree with that. But I'm going to say, as someone who has hit elite deadlifts, someone who's coached elite deadlifters, I personally am of the opinion that if you wanted a squat variation that's going to carry over best to your deadlift, safety bar is definitely up there. It's definitely up there. Right? So even if I'm dealing with a powerlifter, what happens if I'm dealing with a deadlift specialist? What does this bar bring to the table? It brings a hell of a lot. I like to use it extensively. You know, I like to use it extensively for both squatting and good mornings. So I don't know, that question comes over of, what if a person just wants to get really jacked and strong, and maybe they do worry about their shoulder health a little bit, maybe the straight bar bothers it, they're never going to power lift. Or even if they need to, could I just put them on a straight bar for a short period of time and get their meat ready? We could. I mean, if they get up to a really strong safety squat, they're going to have a strong back squat. So could we use it exclusively? I think yes. Have I taken other athletes who don't do powerlifting, who are in other sports, and done only safety bar work? Yeah, I've done it before, and it works just fine. In fact, it works great. I think that's a phenomenal use of this bar. The only issue I have is that, you know, again, the squat standard, and maybe their squat standard won't be up to speed or whatever. But is that really an issue if they get really good on the bar and use it? No, I think it'll be just as good potentially as their back squat potential. They're just going to have a slightly stronger upper back. And is that really a bad thing? I don't think that it is. So, you know, can it replace it for many people? Could it replace it for most people? I think that it could. I think that it could if they wanted to. It's not the most comfortable bar in the world in its own right. It has its own different type of discomfort from a straight bar. And anyone who's ever hit 500 plus on it knows exactly what I'm talking about. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.